All right, let's start this again. Yeah, some low notes, some low notes. And let's put some tension. There's some tension. More tension. More tension, less tension. More air is coming out. Slower air is coming out. Now no vibration, because it's too wide of an aperture there. Now we'll close the aperture a little bit. Tension. More tension, less tension. No tone, too wide of an aperture. A little bit of a tone, and lower. Add tension. Less tension. Less tension. Less tension. All the way down to no tone. The number one reason you can't play high on any brass instrument, trumpet, trombone, French horn, baritone, euphonium, tuba, cornet, flugelhorn. If you play one of those instruments and you are having trouble going upstairs into the upper register, there are quite a number of reasons why you might be having trouble, but there's a number one reason. There really is a number one reason, and I can say this because I've demonstrated a lot of the other reasons here on my channel. Various sizes of mouthpieces, great professional horns, horns that are crappy and should be made into a lamp, lower level student instruments. All these kinds of different things will add into whether or not you can climb upstairs on any brass instrument. Your own physiology, breathing and air. But let's get into the number one reason why you are having trouble trying to go upstairs. And the number one reason, drum roll, is muscle strength, lip strength, contraction, and tension. And I just demonstrated that in the balloon trick that you saw there. What did you see in the balloon trick? Well, let's go back and watch it one more time. All right, let's start this again. Yeah, some low notes, some low notes. And let's put some tension. There's some tension. More tension. More tension, less tension. More air is coming out. Slower air is coming out. Now no vibration, because it's too wide of an aperture there. Now we'll close the aperture a little bit. Tension. More tension, less tension. No tone, too wide of an aperture. A little bit of a tone, and lower. Add tension. Less tension. Less tension. Less tension. All the way down to no tone. When I had the balloon and I manipulated the opening, which is the aperture of the balloon, and I made it more taut and added more tension and contraction and made a smaller aperture, you noticed that the pitch rose. When I relaxed things here, the pitch went down. Regardless of the air, I mean, you saw the balloon was full of air and it got all the way down to almost no air. I was kind of pushing on it, but still, when there was a reduced amount of space for the air to come out, you heard that the pitch went up. When this got all relaxed and a lot looser, you heard the pitch go down. This is the number one reason you can't play high on your trumpet or any brass instrument, or maybe you can play a little bit high, but you're having some struggles. And probably a part two of this is that you're hearing erroneous advice from people that you probably trust. Band director, private teacher, famous brass players, all the way up to people that have had their nose in the book and got their DMA and their university professors. And then specialty celebrity famous trumpet players that can actually play very, very high. You're hearing some erroneous advice and you're being misinformed. These people have good intentions, but let's go through what you've been told. A lot of times you've been told just work on your long tone, your long tones or pedal tones, work on your flexibility stuff, and make sure you are really breathing with an open throat. Don't close off the throat. Your mouth is open, your teeth are open, your jaw, a lot of warm, slow air coming out. Well, that could be good when you're playing in the staff and below the staff. I totally agree. That setup of warm, slow air and this big correct breath and your throat open and everything open is really going to jinx you when you have to go above the upper register. And so let's go back to the number one reason and the premise for this whole video. I boiled it down. In fact, I went through a lot of my videos. I don't think I had one video that just targeted this number one reason. So this can make it clear. Tension, lack of tension, strength, lack of strength, contraction, or a lack of contraction. So for example, my arm is not contracted. See? I'm going to show off my muscles here. I haven't worked out in a while, but still, it's pretty loose. Look, not contracted. That's not contracted. Now, if I contract it, I got some pipes, baby. I got some pipes. That's contracted and hard. That is the contraction I'm talking about here. If your lips are not well conditioned and not well strengthened, you won't be able to get the contraction you need to be able to play with power, accuracy, but more importantly, to be able to go upstairs. And why is that? Let's go back to the balloon. The balloon, you may not have been able to see it. And of course, the balloon is not a perfect example of exactly what's going on with our lips, but it's pretty close. When you saw me stretch it, I'm not wanting you to stretch your lips out, but what was happening was when I was stretching it, I was reducing the aperture of the air coming out of the balloon. By stretching it, I was actually forcing more tension from the top part of the balloon beat the bottom part. So there was more tension coming in, reducing the aperture, and you heard the pitch go higher. You have to have this ability here to be able to add the tension, keep a narrow aperture, and that comes from the muscle contraction like you saw in my arm. Well, that contraction has to happen in your top lip and your bottom lip. If you don't have the strength to make that contraction happen, you're just going to have troubles and you're not going to be able to get into the upper register. That's why you see me doing crazy stuff. If you checked out my channel, I'll pick up, in fact, I have the mouthpiece right here. I got the world's largest Bach trumpet mouthpiece. It's the Bach 1. See if I can get out of the way. And it's not necessarily important that you see the number on there. I'll turn it around just to see if it's going to come up. But just trust me, this is the world's largest Bach trumpet mouthpiece. It's the Bach 1, not 1A, not 1B, not 1C. This is a big, you can go swimming in this guy. It's very, very large. So you'll be able to get some higher notes on it that most people can't get on their shallow mouthpiece. So why is that? It's not that I'm special, but I'm employing a certain contraction from the top lip and the bottom lip. You can do it too. You don't have to be over 30 like I am. You don't have to be over 90 like Doc Severinsen is. And you don't have to be some famous prodigy that's 18 years old over in the Ukraine, for example. I mean, you yourself can do this, whether you're 12 years old and you've only been playing for a year or two, or whether you're a comeback player or you're an old timer or anything in between, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, pro, or superstar trumpet player. You can employ this pedagogy of upper register that I'm talking about today. And so how are you going to do that? You have to strengthen the lips, and that's where a lot of people seem to have the problem. So they're hearing, let's go back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. You're hearing advice from people that you trust. How many of you people are 13 or 14 and you trust your band director? Raise your hand. All of you raised your hand because you trust your band director. He or she knows a lot more than you do, and that's true. And so when they tell you to do this or when they tell you to do that, you're probably going to listen to them. How many of you have a private trumpet, trombone, tuba, or whatever teacher? Yeah, you do? Okay, so you trust them. They're telling you how to do this and you're going to do it. But is it working? It probably is not working for what we're talking about in this video today. Upper register, high range, high notes, expanding way upstairs above the staff. It may or may not be working. And then you get on YouTube and you watch very famous trumpet players and trombone players, French horn, baritone, euphonium, tuba players, cornet players, flugel players, everybody. These are famous people. And typically they're older, but they're telling you this and that about how to play higher. And well, maybe they're telling you something that's good and maybe not. For example, anybody that's telling you just to completely relax and you're going to be able to play higher is, number one, very, very misinformed, or number two, a prodigy or a natural talent. There's one person I'm thinking in particular that had some very famous interactions with a celebrity trumpet player back in the 70s. And his whole thing is no tension at all. And you have to set the mouthpiece a certain way. And if you do, you're going to get this amazing upper register. That just simply is not true. For that particular person, it is true. Let me give you another example. Maynard Ferguson. Are you aware that Maynard Ferguson was playing professional lead trumpet in a big band when he was 14 years of age? Let that sink in. Let it sink in. Here's a kid that's 14 years of age, 8th or 9th grade, and at night his parents are taking him to play lead trumpet with a pro big band in downtown Montreal. I mean, think about that. That same trumpet player later, when he got older, talked about air. In fact, he lived in India for 3 years and got into yoga breathing and all this. He talked about air being the main reason, and that everything here should be relaxed. And that when you go to play higher, you lean back and you bend your knees. No, sorry, Maynard. That's not going to work. It didn't work for Maynard's son, Bentley, either. And Maynard's son, Bentley, eventually took this guy, threw it away, and I guess he started, boom, 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 boom. He started playing bass. So it didn't work for Maynard's own son, Bentley. And I don't know about his daughters if they tried to play any brass instruments, but we already know that it didn't work for them. Because do you hear about any of them playing like Maynard on any brass instrument? No. And there's no evidence that they can do that. So it worked for Maynard. And you have to think, why did it work for Maynard? Because Maynard was a natural talent. He still remains the best trumpet player of all time. No one has beaten him all around. He's just the natural. He could have, if he only done classical, we would be talking about him being so much better than Wynton, maybe a little bit better than Maurice Andre, He would kill Alan Mazzuti. Anybody that you can think of that's good, Maynard would have absolutely annihilated them if he had chose only classical. He chose commercial and jazz, and so that's how we think of him. But as a pure trumpet player, he is unbeaten. And you have to think about this. When he was 14, how many years did he practice? Hello? How many years did he practice high range stuff? Long tones, lip slurs, going high. I mean, how many years could he have practiced to gain the acumen that he did? Not many years. He's 14. When did he start practicing? He started messing around when he was, what, 8 or 9? And I mean, come on, think about it. He didn't have many years to go from 0 to 100. That's a natural talent and happened to be the best trumpet player of all time right there. That's why he was playing lead trumpet at 14 years of age. And probably outdoing people like myself now at my level. I mean, this guy is amazing. You can't listen to his advice because he is a one-of-a-kind type of individual. So whose advice are you going to listen to? Well, you're watching this video, you're going to listen to my advice because I've been around the block. You know, I'm not 19 years. You know, I'm not a kid that's just messing around in college. You know, I've been around the block. This ain't my first rodeo. And I've focused on brass pedagogy with a micro focus on trumpet and upper register. And I've done that for years. And I've looked at a lot of different people, and then I've experimented on myself, also students way back when, and I pretty much know what I'm talking about. You have to have the tension of upper and lower lip to create a narrow aperture so it will withstand all the pressurized air coming out, and it will maintain the narrowness of the hole there to allow the air to be sped up, and so you can play higher. Everything else is going to help you out. So working on your air, yes, that's going to help you. Working on your tone, of course, that's going to help you. Working on flow studies, that's going to help you. Being in good physical condition, that's going to help you. Getting the world's best trumpet. Maybe if you're rich, spend $30,000 on a Monet trumpet. That's going to help you. Maybe you're going to spend $500 on a custom mouthpiece. That's going to help you. Get with the world's greatest private teachers and celebrity trumpet teachers, yes, or trombone or whatever instrument that you play that's a brass instrument, that's going to help you. Go to Juilliard, right? Go to Berklee School of Music, go to Eastman, go to the best schools in the world, and that's going to help you. But what all those won't do, they are not a substitute, and they will not take the place of developing the muscle contraction in your embouchure and your lips, and able to contain a narrow aperture for the air to be sped up fast. The fast air. Don't let anybody fool around with messing with your head that like too much air allows you to play higher and doesn't help you to allows you to play louder or allows you to play higher, or they say fast air has nothing to do with playing higher. That's just physically and scientifically not correct. Faster air, and you can substitute another medium. What if you substituted water? Fast water can be almost extremely violent, like in a pressure washer. If you get a high-powered, heavy-duty pressure washer from Home Depot, I mean, they tell you to be careful, wear gloves, because the water comes so fast, it can inject you with water and get air and water bubbles into your bloodstream and probably could, you know, kill you. So, and if you've used a pressure washer before, you've seen the power that it has to strip off rust and paint and everything else. That water and the air, we can go back and forth. The pressurized water is coming out with such a force because the aperture of the nozzle for the pressure washer is maintained. It's not being widened because of lack of strength, and that's because we're talking about an inanimate object. That's why you have such a focus, and the water is coming out with such a fast focus. It's able to be quite devastating on whatever you use that pressure water on. The same thing with air. Let's go back to air. If you are able to contain the aperture, just like the nozzle on a pressure washer, you are able to contain fast air. Don't let anybody talk about saying more air is going to help you in the upper register. More air will not help you. I've demonstrated that you can play high without any air. Let me do it one more time. Let me point my horn away from, I got my Neumann TLM 103 and it's very sensitive, and I got to point it the other direction because I have the gain cranked up. But let me go this way. Hopefully it won't clip on us. But I'm going to let all my air out, and I'm going to play higher than probably you can play. So this is going to prove the point that all this extra more air, this yoga air and all this filling up is bogus. It's someone that's misinformed, or someone that's a natural talent that really is not able to tell you how they are able to play so great themselves. It's the tension and the strength and the contraction of your embouchure and your top and bottom lip, maintaining a very small, narrow hole where the air is going to be coming out. That is how you can play higher, and that's the number one reason you're not able to climb upstairs on any brass instrument. From tuba all the way up to trumpet, to piccolo trumpet, to E-flat cornet. It is the number one reason. There is no other reason that trumps this as to why you can't play. There are other reasons, but this is the number one reason. Now let me exhaust all my air, and I'm gonna let you watch this. I'm gonna make it uncut, which means there might be some bobbling and some spias and some, it's not gonna be perfect, but I'm just gonna show you. Okay, I'm gonna take a big breath, I'm gonna let the air out, and then I'm gonna play. You'll see that I'm not taking any air in. That was a high C with no air. Let me try it again. I probably can go higher. It might not be the best sound, but it proved a point. This is the worst you could possibly play for any brass instrument with no air. No air. Yet this has to be turning on the light bulb in your head, and you have to be thinking, how in the hell could he exhaust all his air and get the high C and then get the double C? How? When my teacher tells me to suck all the air out of the room, keep your throat open, your jaw drop down low, and use a big mouthpiece, and you're going to be able to play high. They're just regurgitating maybe what their teacher told them, maybe what their DMA doctorate told them, maybe what they have heard before, or they are a natural talent that can play amazingly and they really don't know why, and they're just pulling stuff out of the air of what they've heard that probably they think might be true. It's not. So go back, rewind this, and watch me play a double C with no air. No air, but just the air that's trapped naturally in my mouth. All right, now you know the number one reason you can't play high on your instrument: trumpet, trombone, French horn, baritone, euphonium, tuba, E-flat cornet, piccolo, trumpet, flugel, alto horn, whatever brass instrument that you play on. If you are having trouble trying to go upstairs, you now know the number one reason. Think back to my arm. See? Soft, squishy, squishy, right? Squishy, squishy. Now I contract it. Boom. Hard. Hard. Contracted. Contract your embouchure. Contract the lips towards the center and down with tension. Keep this pinprick of a hole, keep that narrowed and unflinching. And the air that comes out compressed and fast will allow you to skyrocket on any brass instrument. I hope you found this video of value. I've been trying to distill a lot of the stuff that I've told you over the years, and I believe that this is the most salient and poignant advice and I really feel like I'm revealing the number one reason why just about any brass player can't go higher. It's they don't have the muscle power and the contraction and the tension to keep the aperture at the smallest and the most narrow as they go higher. What happens? You don't have the contraction, the strength, your lips will slightly part. And when they slightly part, it might not be noticeable to you, but that is what's going on. And when the lips can't quite contain that air and the aperture just widens just a millimeter or just a fraction, your range is either stymied or goes down. That's just the facts. Dem the facts, folks. So, if you found this video of value, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, I just want to let you know I do have 1 or 2 videos on my channel that you may want to check out. I'm getting up to maybe 10. So, you know, you got 10 videos you can go through. So do subscribe. Hit that little bell thing because that's a notification when I put up new videos that you might be interested in. If you want to peruse through my website, it's trumpetsizzle.com. Trumpetsizzle.com. I have a lot of new things coming out. Practice aids. I've got some different versions of my brand new 2019 16-week updated upper register course for all brass instruments. You might want to check out my site, trumpetsizzle.com. I'm Kurt Thompson, and again, I hope that you and I interacted through this video and you got my message about what is the number one reason you're having problems going upstairs. I'll see you in the next one. The Andre Baroque, folks. I've developed it. You're going to benefit from it.